All right, guys, I'm back for the second half of this lesson. Next thing we're going to talk about is order of operations. I'm sure you've heard of that before. You used it a lot in school. Maybe you're familiar with PEMDAS, if you've heard teachers say it that way, or you may have heard, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Those are all little acronyms to help us remember. So basically, we have an order of operations so that when we're all simplifying expressions, we will all come to the same answer if we all do it in the same order. So P stands for parentheses. Whatever we see there, we're going to do first. Next, we're going to look for exponents. And the last two steps are important to understand because after exponents, we will do any multiplication and division, but we're going to do what comes first from left to right. Meaning, if division comes before multiplication in the problem from left to right, we will do division first, or vice versa if multiplication is first. After any multiplication and division, then we will do any addition and subtraction, and again from left to right. So I know in the acronym, multiplication comes before division, but these are like an equal step. We do it comes first left to right, and same with addition and subtraction. You must do what comes from first from left to right. So we're going to do a few examples together, so I'll let you jot those down. You can pause the video and write that down if you want. But this is the order we will do all of these problems in. So here we go. Number one, we're going to do 5 cubed minus 4 times 1 plus 2 squared. Okay? Now, the order of operations, I just kind of go through a checklist. I look for, are there any parentheses? In this case, yes. So I'm going to do this first only. Now, the 2, this exponent is still there, but I'm not going to mess with that yet. I'm only going to simplify this, and I'm only going to do one thing at a time and bring everything else down. So 1 plus 2 is 3. I'll keep that in parentheses because it tells me to square it. I'm going to bring down everything else I haven't used. So times 4 minus 5 cubed. Okay? Parentheses done. The next thing to look for is exponents. I see one right here. So I need to do 3 cubed, which we learned means 3 times 3, which is 9. Bring down everything else I haven't used. Okay, and I also have this exponent, so I need to do that before I do any of this. 5 cubed means 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. And you can use your calculator on that or write it out. Minus 4 times 9. So notice each time I go down, it's shrinking a little bit. Now I have subtraction and multiplication. Which one should I do next? The order of operations says to do any multiplication before any addition or subtraction. So I need to do 4 times 9, which is 36, minus 125. So I have 125 minus 36. That's the only thing left to do, and I get 89. Okay, and just to point out here, notice that even, let's say we did all the first steps the same, but even right here, if somebody did 125 minus 4 first and then multiplied it by 9, you would get a completely different answer, okay? And again, that's why it's crucial that we all follow the order of operations. These mathematicians came up with this order they thought was best so that everyone, when they're working out problems, will come to the same answer. Because if we all started somewhere different, we would have multiple answers and that wouldn't help anybody. So again, that is why we have this special order, okay? So hopefully you have that written down. I'm gonna pull out my other sheet here to do the last two problems. All right, so number 2, 11 minus 4 divided by 2 times 5 plus 3. Okay, I'm going to go down the checklist. I don't see any parentheses. The next thing to look for is exponents. I don't see any exponents. Okay, so now I'm looking for any multiplication and division. I see division and I see multiplication. Which one should I do first? Most people will say multiplication because this acronym is deceiving. I know we learned it as my dear, so we think the M always comes before the D. But that is deceiving. That is not the case. We have to do any multiplication and division from left to right. So in this case, division comes first. So I'm going to put a box around this. And again, I put the box around it to show myself what I'm using and know what I haven't used, because I find if people don't do that, they get confused on what numbers to bring down or what they haven't used, and they get all mixed up. So that's why I do that, and I suggest you do that too. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. I'm going to bring down everything else I haven't used. I haven't used the 11 minus, the times 5, or the plus 3. Okay? Now I have subtraction, multiplication, and addition. Order of operations says to do any multiplication before adding and subtracting. 2 times 5 is 10. Bring down plus 3, bring down the minus and the 11. Now, will I subtract or add next? And here again, the order of operations, the order of the words, addition comes first, but we have to remember from left to right. So again, in this case, subtraction comes first on the left, so we're going to do this first. 11 minus 10 is 1, and bring down the plus 3, and 1 plus 3 is 4. Okay, and you can test it. If you went back to the top and you did this in a different order, you would see that you would get a completely different answer. Okay, all right, last one. So here I see parentheses, and I see a lot of exponents, but I'm going to focus in on, don't get overwhelmed by the problem, focus in on one step at a time. So I'm only going to focus my energy right here, just the parentheses. But in the parentheses, the order of operation starts over again. So in the parentheses, I see exponents, so I need to do that first. 3 cubed, 3 to the 3rd power, is the same thing as 27. I'm going to leave this in parentheses like this. I'm going to keep the subtraction sign because I'm not doing that yet. And then 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, now that's still in parentheses, and don't forget this little 2 out here, that stays there. Plus 4 squared, 2 right next to parentheses, plus 6. We'll talk about that in a minute. But here I still have things in parentheses, so I need to finish that. 27 minus 16 is 11. And again, I'm going to keep that in parentheses because whatever's in here, it's telling me to square it. It's telling me to do to the 2nd power. So I'm keeping that. I'm bringing down my 4 squared. And so, by the way, if you didn't know, anytime a number is right next to parentheses, that signals multiplication. So if you want to, you can go ahead and put a dot here with a 2. Some people like to separate it like that. Keep the plus, keep the 6. All right, so I'm simplifying, but I'm still not done. So the parentheses are gone. We have parentheses here, but that's just separating the 11. So I need to do these 2 exponents next. 11 squared is what? 11 times 11 is 121 plus whatever this is. 4 squared, again, 4 times 4 is 16. Bring down everything else I haven't used. Now, it was okay for me to do those 2 in the same step because they were both exponents. But otherwise, I'm only going to do one thing at a time. So now I have addition, multiplication, addition. What should I do next? Well, the order of operations says to do any multiplication before adding. So I need to do 2 times 121, which is 242. And I still have a plus 16, and I have a plus 6. Well, now it's all addition, so I can just add this all together, but for the sake of what we're doing, let's do one at a time. So 242 plus 6 is 248. Bring down the plus 16, and we get 264. That's our final answer. And again, if we were to do that differently in a different order, we would get a different answer, and that would cause all kinds of problems for everyone to get different things. So those were some examples of the order of operations. That is all we're doing this week with these 2 videos, and you have an assignment for week 5 that's attached in the Dropbox. You guys text me if you have any questions, and have a great week.